diplomat, Venu Rajamoni, is a former diplomat as well. Thank you to everyone for joining us on this special broadcast. Ambassador Rajamoni, I'm going to begin with you. Yes, there are highs and lows in this relationship, which we have seen. After every handshake, there has been an episode of betrayal. But because of a larger enemy which is emerging in the United States, do you think that both these nations will be looking at more as a point of cooperation rather than the points of differences?
I would not use such strong language as an enemy for the US. Ultimately, it is in India's interest to have good relations with both the United States as well as China. We need to be strong where our interests matter, where we need to strongly stand by our interest and not give in when things are important to us. But at the same time, the long-term benefit for India lies in good relations with both the US and China. So I would not agree to this Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting or the bilateral meeting being a byproduct of the current phase of bad relations in the US. After all, President Trump is likely to be there only for one term, and he himself has done so many flip-flops that his policies towards India can still change. As far as China is concerned, China is our biggest neighbor, our most important neighbor, a neighbor with whom we have a long history of problems, a neighbor to some extent who's responsible for bolstering and supporting Pakistan, with whom also we have many problems. But at the same time, we all know that China is a major economic power. It's a huge economic success story. It is in India's interest to normalize relations with China and to take advantage of China's growth and success, and equally to try and ensure that peace and tranquility is maintained on our border as a first step towards an eventual settlement of the border, or at least a clarification of the line of control, as a result of which we will not have any more clashes of the kind we saw in Galwan.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Okay. Ambassador Sajjanhar, come in now. How do you see the Tianjin Declaration perhaps reshape the agenda for multilateral cooperation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Maria, for having me. As far as the SCO is concerned, meaning it is important for India to be there because, we can reach out to Central Asian countries, we can ensure, both in terms of promoting our interests as also in terms of defending some of the interests and concerns that we have. But otherwise, if you look at the SCO, right, since the time that it came into being in 2001, that, it has really not been able to get anything very significant on the ground. What we can really look for as far as the current SCO, Tianjin Declaration, which should be with us tomorrow morning, is, something on terrorism, on counter, cross-border terrorism, if we are able to get that. But of course, very strong words on terrorism, because, the original mandate, Maria, of the SCO was to deal with the three evils of separatism, extremism, and terrorism. So I think that is definitely going to be an area of, on which there are going to be strong words. The only problem there is that you have, countries like Pakistan who use terrorism as an instrument of foreign policy. But any declaration in the SCO is really not able to rein them in. And also, as far as China is concerned, we have seen whether at the bilateral front or even in the global perspective, whether at the UNSC in terms of designation of Pakistani terrorists, China comes out and supports Pakistan. So, it is, but still there is an organization under the SCO called the RATS, the Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure, which is based in Tashkent, which has been functioning. And, the RATS does claim that it has been able to deal with, it has been able to contain a large number of terrorist actions which would have taken place if it had not shared that information and that intelligence with the concerned
Okay,
countries.
Geeta, you wanted to come in.
Yes, I just wanted to say the fact that we're talking about SCO, Maria, and SCO is going to begin tomorrow. But remember, this is exactly what we are talking about. Ambassador Sajanhar talks about counter-terrorism. He talks about separatism and radical fundamentalism. All these things that are part of the charter where the SCO countries come together to counter and fight. But look at the meetings that took place before this, the SCO National Security Advisors meeting, SCO Defense Ministers meeting, SCO Foreign Ministers meeting. There was no consensus. It was a very difficult time for them to even bring about a document. So our eyes should be on what India and Pakistan are going to do in that room. Will there be consensus in the SCO or not? And if not, then it does not look like a cohesive bloc.
Okay, Ambassador Sajanhar.
Yeah, no, I agree with Geeta. It's not a cohesive bloc, and that is why it's really not been able to come up with anything substantive or significant, not on terrorism, not on any of the, whether it is economy. It had said, we are going to have an energy consortium amongst the SCO countries. We are going to have a bank. We are going to have some sort of an FTA. But, it has not been able to come up with any of that. And for that matter, it is BRICS which has been able to it came much later on the stage, but it has been able to take it forward. That having been said, as far as NSA and defense ministers meeting, there was, since all declarations are adopted by consensus, India objected, so there was no common declaration that was accepted. But here, on as far as the heads of state summits are concerned, terrorism statements on terrorism have always been accepted, and I'm quite confident. Let's have a look at the Tianjin Declaration, and there will be a substantive.
So Tianjin Declaration, that will be coming up tomorrow, of course, will give us clarity as to what has been a significant, policy which will be guiding this entire grouping. Brahmachalani, come in now. What will you be watching out for in the next few hours?
In the next few hours, I think the Modi-Xi Jinping bilateral is definitely the most watched development, because what comes out from that meeting will be important. But we should not forget, because now the focus in the media is on the handshake between Modi and Xi Jinping. But this meeting is a follow-up on last October's Modi-Xi Jinping meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. And at that time, there was no Trump factor. Trump wasn't even in the White House at that time. In other words, Modi began this effort to reach out to China and reset relations months before Trump returned to office. Of course, now that Trump is back in office and his policies have turned disruption into a virtual doctrine, he's delivering a shock therapy to the international system. In fact, he's actually doing things that are counterproductive to America's own long-term interests, and India is only one example of it. But his shock therapy is likely to lead to genuine multipolarity in international relations. He has upset even close allies of the US, like Europe, Japan, South Korea, name any close ally of the United States, Canada, for example. They all feel alienated from the US at the moment. So Trump is doing a great service to building a truly multipolar world. He's also opening India's eyes to realities on the ground. He's telling India not to depend too much on Washington. So all that is in a way good for India, but that doesn't mean that India should now swing to the other extreme by reposing trust in China. After all, this effort by Modi to reset relations with China is the third reset by Modi since he took office in 2014. The first reset was in 2014, and it went on until the Doklam standoff and the subsequent capture of Doklam Plateau by China. Then came Reset 2, which led to Wuhan Summit and to the Mahabalipuram Summit. And that in turn, that Reset 2.0 ended disastrously with the Chinese capture of key borderlands in eastern Ladakh. And now we have Modi reset 3.0. How far it will go, only time will tell.
Okay.
But certainly, what we are seeing is a continuation of the Kazan process.
Okay.